You're watching Taste the Victory.
Hey everyone, the audio didn't record properly the first time, so I have to record this twice at midnight. I hope you guys are enjoying Hex 1 though, because this is a fun list we got for you guys today. First of all, big thank you to Meloncat who suggested this one to my server after I asked what profile people would like to see next. They walked me through the flow of the deck and it sounded really cool and I wanted to share it with everyone, so big thank you and credit to them for the base list. So let's go ahead and look at this. This is Source Strip in X1, which got some really cool tools that helps you control the flow of the game and gives it that extra time it needs to strip your sources and be way more aggressive. The main problem with the Source Strip was that it was way too passive. Your main win con is like played against just by simply digivolving up. Hexablow just stuns you for a bit, but as long as you get a second stack out, you just start digivolving over it, you're fine. Now with Azulong, we have a way more aggressive payoff to the source stripping. So let's go ahead and look at him to start the deck profile. He has 5 to digivolve into, which is a lot, but he has 13,000 DP, and also, when digivolving, trash 1 Digivolution card from the bottom of all of your opponent's Digimon. Then for each of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards, gain 1 memory. He also has your turn for each of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards. This Digimon gains security attack +1. So the first effect is incredible, and most of the time in a meta where people are literally spewing out sourceless Digimon through effects like Gizamon, this cost becomes cheap pretty fast. You will usually be playing Azulongmon out for 3 more than anything, and with our inheritables you could even do it for 2 to 1 a lot of the times. So Azulongmon is incredibly useful for that alone, but also security attack +1 lets it be super aggressive. Again, in a meta where Gizamon has like 3 to 4 Digimon on board, other decks also are able to spew out stuff very fast. You are very likely to get a huge security attack bonus off of this. Oftentimes you'll be swinging for 2 to 3 security, and that is a lot when paired with Majiramon, which we will get to in the profile. So let's go ahead and start looking at it. First up, we got Upamon. He is only at 1 copy because his effect is when attacking once per turn, if your opponent has a Digimon with no Digivolution cards in play, trigger draw 1. I think everyone knows what this egg does at this point because it's basically the best generic egg in blue, but the thing with this one is that it rewards you for the payoff of source stripping, while the egg we are maxing out instead rewards you for doing it in the first place. Kyaromon is your turn once per turn when one of your opponent's Digivolution cards is trashed, trigger draw 1. So you don't have to wait to have something with no sources on the field. Just for doing the action of source stripping, you are getting the draw 1 off of this one, which is why Kyaromon is better suited at 4 copies over Upamon for this specific deck, which has lots of source stripping in it. We have Bulucomon, or Bulucomon, I'm not too sure. This guy hasn't shown up in an anime as far as I'm aware, so I don't know how to say it. Your turn, once per turn, when you trash a Digivolution card of one of your opponent's Digimon, gain 1 memory. And if we look over here, we have Gomamon with the exact same effect. We are basically running a second copy of Bulucomon, whatever it's called, and able to run 8 copies total of this effect. This is amazing because we have Digimon cards that on Digivolution trash a source. So with these 2 in the stack, you reduce their cost effectively by 1. That is amazing at the ultimate and up level by helping you turbo up. So we are running 8 copies of this. Basically, run as much Gomamon as you can, since I know this is unfortunately a promo and kind of pricey because of that. And frankly, it's kind of stupid because the folder that this came in was in a giveaway that Bandai did on their website. Everyone who entered it won. Everybody was posting about it. Even I, who thought I didn't won it after a month, and I was not expecting it for it to show up at that point. Half of the other cards in that folder are $4 or less, but because people were hyped for Hexablow, which ended up not doing much of anything in the BT5 meta, this card spiked up for no real reason other than hype. So it's unfortunate. You may not have access to a full 4 copies, especially if you want to keep this down budget, in which case, just run your 2 cost rookies, because going wide, putting that pressure on your opponents, being that extra swing when you checked all the other security with Azulongmon is useful. So, you know, you could just run Ikkakumon in its place or some other vanilla 2 cost rookie. Then we got Gizamon, your turn inheritable, your turn while your opponent has no Digimon with Digivolution cards in play, this Digimon gets plus 2,000 DP. So this is important. Note the difference in wording from Gizamon to Upamon, while your opponent has no Digimon with Digivolution cards in play. While Upamon says if your opponent has a Digimon with no Digivolution cards in play. So because of this wording, your opponent having nothing on their board, just a completely empty field, satisfies the condition of Gizamon. So if you clear their board, the plus 2000 is still active, as opposed to Upamon where you need to have at least one thing without a source on the field. So this is amazing. That becomes that little bit easier to hit and get that DP boost off of Gizamon. So fantastic copy to run off at 3 to make sure you get that boost in a color that traditionally does not have a lot of DP boosting. 2000 is a huge number off of that, so that's a great option to run at 3. After that, we got ModokiBetamon. So just like Gizamon, it is a Digimon that turns off memory gaining other than through tamers. This is fantastic for the mirror, fantastic for purple. 2 is a really good number. If you could even find space for 3, be more than free to run it. You know, 3 is great too. After that, we got our 12 champions. As you see, it is a pretty diverse lineup of champions. Our level 4s are pretty mixed. I know a lot of people may not like that, but we're using our level 4 lineup here for utility because they all do a lot in different matchups, and they're all still at a generic level pretty good in every single matchup. You know, they don't really become dead draws in any duel. But we are maxing out on Ikkakumon specifically from Booster Set 1.0 because it is 2 Digivolve into 5000 DP, and mainly it's inheritable. Your turn, this Digimon can't be blocked by your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards. That is a fantastic effect because in a meta with Gizamon, predicted to be the best deck in the format currently by a lot of YouTubers, a lot of tier lists, that they spew out blockers with no sources. The Sistermons don't Digivolve or anything. Not yet anyways. Not until BT7. So in this meta, this card is fantastic by making them useless. Instead, they actually become a burden for the chess player, help you out by helping Azulong get more targets for its DP, or for rather its memory reducing effect. We also have a bunch of other blocker hate, so basically you're always going to be getting those huge swings. After that, we got Lobomon. He lets you Digivolve over a Tamer for only 2 and helps you close games out with that surprise swing. Coelamon is our blocker with only 1 to Digivolve into. We are mainly running this because he has 1 to Digivolve, that's it, because otherwise, if we don't, all our other level 4s are 2 to Digivolve into, so I do want to have that option to get a quick Digivolution off. And because as a blocker, I personally don't like the 5000 DP blockers. They're pretty useless and will get removed pretty easily because of the 5000 DP removal that is really common now in the game. But because of that 1 Digivolution cost, might as well run it. After that, we got Ikkakumon. He is new, introduced the next one. 6000 DP, 2 to Digivolve into. Your turn, this Digimon can also attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimon with no Digivolution cards. So this is great early removal to get rid of any rookies on the field. If you're playing the mirror and your opponent has a ModokiBetamon, or if you're playing purple and you need to Hammer Spark, you could go into this guy and just swing over it. Most of the times they are going to hardcast these to get immediate value, and you just swing over it with Ikkakumon easily because it's 6000 and attacks unsuspended with no sources. Previously, Blue did not have efficient removal for this. You would, if you really wanted to get rid of this, you would have to spend like a whole damn Kakaida's breath on this thing. That's insane. With this, you have a way more efficient way to swing over it finally, and that's really good. If they brick and only hardcast a champion on their first turn, if you could get this out early enough, you swing with this and destroy them, so that's fantastic too, set them far back. Ikkakumon is great at the early level. However, that's not always going to be the case. You know, there's going to be a lot of hiding and raising as well. You got to account for that, which is why we're only running it at 2 as opposed to maxing it out or anything. After that, we got Veedramon from the new starter deck. When attacking, if you have 8 or more cards in your hand, return one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon. So this is basically just more hate for these dudes. Gizmon's blockers, the Sistermon that gives blocker anyways, is a level 3. ModokiBetamon, Gizamon, all those memory blockers are level 3s. So this is another great efficient removal tool for those. Then we got our level 5s. So we started off with MachGaogamon. We got 2 copies of this. It is 3 to Digivolve into 7000 DP, and then Digiburst 2. Return one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon to its owner's hand. So this is yet more blocker hate, yet more memory blocker hate. So both of those, you know, those little memory blockers are level 3, your level 4 regular blockers, you know, this is just more hate to get rid of those. And then we also have the inheritable. While you have a Tamer in play, this Digimon gets plus 2000 DP, and we do prioritize getting Tamers out on the field, so that'll be pretty easy to meet, and that'll put our Azulong at 15 minimum. If we have Gizamon underneath it, it lives literally everything in security, unless they have something like yellow TK out. So this is a fantastic inheritable as well. Then we got the main level 5 we are running, that is Majiramon. 7000 DP, 3 to Digivolve into, and then when Digivolving, trash 1 Digivolution card from the top of one of your opponent's Digimon. This is great synergy with our 8 rookies that gain a memory when discarding a source, because this effectively makes it a 2-cost Digivolution. So that is fantastic to quickly climb up to your Mega. But then also we have the inheritable. When attacking, once per turn, if your opponent has no Digimon with Digivolution cards in play, unsuspend this Digimon. So this basically becomes a little mini Gizamon. This is a Savior Ikkakumon for blue. Fantastically powerful effect because all of our Megas have security attack +1 in one way or another, so that becomes incredibly threatening fast. Also, if we notice the wording, this is one of those effects that works with nothing on the field. So if you're able to board clear them, this is still alive, and it makes it that little bit easier to trigger, making Majiramon that much more busted. Finally, we got Zudomon for our ultimate lineup. He is 3 to Digivolve into, and then when Digivolving, trash 1 Digivolution card from the bottom of one of your opponent's Digimon, which is fantastic synergy with the rookies, effectively making them 2 costs if you have the right stack. Then, your turn, like Ikkakumon, this Digimon can also attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimon with no Digivolution sources. That is great. That is fantastic. It is an amazing control tool. If your 8,000 DP is huge, it synergizes with that effect to be able to beat over basically any relevant level 5 that isn't Lady Devimon or a crazy vanilla 2 Digivolution cost Digimon in red or something like that. And being able to remove that stack by just swinging over their unsuspended Digimon because they thought they were safe sets them so far back. It's a really fantastic control option in Zudomon. You know, if they move out and they try to play the Sistermon effect, they get greedy and play like a Noir or something through the Digivolution effect. You just swing over their one of Savior Ikkakumon eventually, and it'll set them so far back. So Zudomon is a great control option for that. Then we got our Mega. We already went over Azulongmon. The security attack +1. The boost usually adds up pretty quick. You're usually going to be doing 2 to 3 checks, and that's before your restand off of Majiramon. So this is incredibly powerful. Comes out usually pretty cheap, especially if you get to pair it with you know, with these guys, because he does trash 1 on Digivolution. So typically you will be Digivolving into this incredibly powerful Digimon for only 2 to 3. It's really awesome. Then we got Slayerdramon. Slayerdramon is 3 to Digivolve into 11,000 DP, and he is from the structure deck, so he's easily accessible. When Digivolving, this Digimon gains security attack +1, so definitely make sure you are like at the start of your turn with 3 memory when you go into this guy, so you don't pass turn and lose that. And then also your turn, this Digimon is unblockable. So if all else fails and you somehow miss all your blocker removal, or they just spam the heck load of blockers somehow, you know, if all else fails, you got this guy who's just straight up unblockable, who just straight up says no. So he is fantastic, and security attack +1 is still nothing to laugh at. That is 2 checks off of restand with Majiramon. That is 4 checks. That's a lot. That's crazy pressure. If you have Lobomon out, you just go into that, get that 5th swing, and then you go into Omnimon Blitz and get that last swing for game. So these 2 megas are both incredibly threatening, and the aggressiveness, the source strip needed for their payoff. After that, we do have the Omnimon I just mentioned that is 4 to Digivolve into 14,000 DP. On Digivolution, it unsuspends itself and gets Blitz, which lets it swing once memory has passed over to your opponent. And then all turns, it also has a protection effect from deletion effects and from returning to deck effects. So it's fantastic to get that final swing for game. Then this we will play, this option ratio we play with depending on the format. Pre-ban list, if you still can, you run this at 4 copies. Run 4 Ice Wall while you can. You have until February 25th, 2022. 4 Ice Walls will win you game. Double Ice Wall, your opponent can't do anything for the turn. Then you stall that extra turn you needed, boom, you win next turn. It's a busted card and it's banned for a reason. Run 4 while you can. But once the ban list hits, we simply just switch the ratio and run 3 Hammer Spark, 1 Ice Wall. There you go. You could probably play with this too and like run 4 Hammer Spark, 1 Ice Wall, because that is also a Hammer Spark in security. So 5 Hammer Sparks in security is massively annoying. So that is definitely a ratio you could play with once we have the ban list, because that is insane. We got Davis. Davis is a searcher that guarantees you 3 memory every turn. He is fantastic. And then we have Sora and Joe. Your turn, if your opponent has a Digimon with no Digivolution cards in play, gain 2 memory. And then your turn, when you attack with a blue Digimon, you may suspend this tamer to trash up to 2 Digivolution cards in the bottom of one of your opponent's Digimon. This is the MVP of source strip decks, because that gain 2 memory is huge, because any amount of memory your opponent puts you at, you still gain the boost. So if they put you at 2, this will put you to 4, you know? And then trashing 2 Digivolution cards is huge. That is enough to hit a sourceless Digimon on a lot of Digimon. And then once they're up to their mega level, if they don't run level 7s or anything that Digivolves over another level 6, you know, it's really easy to actually hit them down to 0 once you get multiple of these out, like maybe in security or something like that. It's very easy to quickly source strip with this card and with all your Digivolution source strip. So this is the deck. It is fantastic. If you are having problems with Gizamon, like if you're struggling into Gizamon, I really suggest running this deck, because it makes all their sistermons basically useless and basically material for you, you know, to help boost you instead. Other than that, I think it's a great meta call too. The problem is this will depend on how popular security control is in your area, or how popular you're expecting it to be going into whatever tournament you're entering, because this does have a weakness to security control. This does have a weakness to like security bombs in general. This is kind of a go tall deck, you know, climb up. So a Gaia Force's security could be absolutely hugely threatening, really sets you far back. So you got to be careful about that. But otherwise, I think you have a really good odds into a lot of the other meta decks in this format. You know, like the bonds, they're just playing out rookies that you're going to be able to gain a lot of value off most of the time. And you have a ton of bounce for them as well. Let me know if you make any changes to it or if it helps you out at locals. I'm looking forward to hearing about it. And I'll see you in the next video. And until that next video, remember to stay hungry until you get a taste of victory.